Good morning and welcome to Talking Galleries Berlin in partnership with Berlin Art Week and with ABC Fair. We believe in working together and in developing partnerships with colleagues, and our job in Talking Galleries is to create the space for reflection and for debate for galleries and art professionals, in which they share knowledge, experiences, and reinvent new models and ways of carrying out their practice. The gallery is one of the essential pieces in all this puzzle. They are the ones who work with the artist, the ones who nurture the artist, and the ones who find an audience for the artists. So no better place than Berlin, which is a city of galleries, and no better place than ABC Fair to be here presenting this panel, which is going to be led by Chris Dercon, director of Tate Modern, and Sabine Breitwieser. I always find it difficult, that surname. Sorry. And Dr. Falkenberg, collector, and Angela Choon. Why we have brought all these people here? We want to present different points of view and different angles of the topic of why is it better to work with a gallery? What is the added value of doing so? Chris is going to lead this debate from the perspective of his global knowledge of the landscape and his various positions that he has held over the years. Sabine will talk to us from the perspective, very independent perspective from the market. We have then a very active collector, Dr. Falkenberg, who deals constantly with galleries. And then we've asked Angela Choon, director of Zwirner in London, to be here, and you are the voice for the gallery, so good luck to you. And I would like to remind you that this is just a capsule that we're doing in Berlin. We have our fully fledged symposium in Barcelona in November, which you're all invited to attend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, Berlin. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We have about 50 minutes of conversation between the four of us, and then we want to give the mic to the floor. I believe there are microphones, right? Because we would like to have a Q&A, because your questions are important. First of all, as director of a public institution, Tate Modern, in the recent past, talking with and about galleries in the public was not something to be done. Many of the talks happened behind closed doors. We even avoided writing to each other emails because, as you know, in Great Britain there is the Freedom of Information Act, so everybody can read into our emails. But things have changed over the past 2 years. I don't know if you saw my piece in Die Zeit last week, which was dealing with the tension between private and public museums. But one of the first lines I wrote in German was, ohne die Galerie geht ganz gar nichts mehr. Without galleries, we cannot operate anymore. I don't know how that is for Sabine, my colleague. I don't know what Angelo has to say about this. I don't know what Harald has to say about this. We never talk to each other about this, really, in public at least. My first question to the three panelists will be, and I would like to start with Sabine. Sabine, can you just tell me in 1 or 2 lines, what is this thing, this beast called a gallery today, in your opinion? What is the definition of a gallery? You have to take the microphone.
Yeah. I don't think there's the gallery. There are galleries which turns into global corporations with great directors on my right side, who started as a small gallery with single ownership. And there are emerging galleries bringing up young artists, doing more work what in Vienna in the 70s was called information galleries. So they were galleries which didn't sell, but they provided information on art in general in a region which had not access to contemporary art. So I don't believe in a single model of a gallery and will know there are all kinds of things. Certainly there is economic representation and interest. There's a career interest. The gallery is about to build a career, a commercial career, but the commercial career is not standing alone. As we used to say for museums or for art organizations in general, it's run in a business-like fashion, but it's not a business. I wonder how this can apply to the young emerging small galleries, because when it comes to looking at the balance sheet in terms of money, the outcome, the economic outcome for the artists and the gallery, I wonder how successful this is, in fact. But if you say nothing can happen without the galleries, I wonder what the role of the institution is then in relation to the galleries, but maybe that's the second round of our discussion.
These are definitely more than one or two lines, so then I want to continue then to ask you, did you ever talk or write in public about your cooperation with galleries, whatever kind of galleries, young, emergent, big galleries, mega corporations? Did you ever, or do you ever talk in public openly about the character of your collaboration with galleries?
Of course. I think it did change, and I'm thrilled to have Angela next to me, because I remember, and that's quite a while ago, when I worked on a huge Martha Clark exhibition where I excavated, 600 drawings from the basement, and I put them on the wall, and everyone said, wow. And we were worried they will end up again in the basement. I was walking around literally looking for a gallery to represent the estate of Martha Clark, which was actually not so easy because the artist was not alive anymore. So David Zwirner stepped in, and you were his first director, starting to work with the estate of Gordon Martha Clark. And now we're in a time when we do shows. For me, I don't have a bad feeling asking the gallery. So we have two ways to do. We can do an opening, very basic, we serve drinks, we're standing around. We can do a great dinner and invite a lot of collectors, lenders, sitting them down, having a nice time, if you help me do the dinner. And we even co-invite for these dinners.
Only dinners?
Well, I never had that. They paid shipping, but we're right now working on a really big project on Caroline Schneemann, and we do have real challenges being able to restore her early painting construction, photograph them, all kinds of things. And this is a great gallery, but it's not a big economic gallery. It's PPOW who is doing a great deal to help us, but I did, for this purpose, a benefit dinner in Salzburg, which worked out very well, due to the help of a gallerist who has no economic interest on Caroline Schneemann. It was actually Tadeusz Ropacz and Arne Ehmann, his director, who helped me a great deal getting people to buy tables, donating a work by Andy Warhol we auctioned, and there's literally no economic relationship. And I do give credits to this. I think art dealers, if we call them like that, and galleries are something different, and they have a life beyond their commercial interest, or they know there has to be something around it. They have to create the context, and they are human beings with emotions, interests, disinterests, all kinds of things. So I think it's something we have to consider how far we go. Working before in a big museum, it was a little bit different. You're more confronted with a really upfront gallery collaboration by getting works offered for donations and things like that, and you wonder sometimes where's your role of evaluating things or whatever, if you should just simply accept that or say, well, actually it's a successful artist, but I don't believe in him or her, so maybe it shouldn't enter the collection. So I think the relationship to galleries has changed over times and has to be differentiated from institution to gallery. So it's not the relationship or the gallery. I think, yeah, and as you know very well, Yeah, galleries are not something bad. I think they can do a great deal and help. I mean, I don't see them as the enemy.
Galleries are not something bad. I mean, I hope you immediately.
We resist.
I hope you immediately tweet this into the world. Sabine Breitwieser.
And that's something.
It's because it's early morning and it's such a beautiful weather. The sun is shining. We look happy and optimistic. This sounds all smooth. Let's talk about the problems later. Angela, what is the definition of a gallery today? When I'm asked to define a gallery, I always say very bluntly, very shortly, the gallery represents the commercial interest of the artist. Is that correct?
Yes, but does this work?
Don't be afraid of the microphone.
Yes, it is. That's the simplest way of looking at what a gallery does, but a good gallery does more than that.
Aha, so there are bad galleries and good galleries.
No, I'm just saying a good gallery. I guess it's hard to do it in 2 or 3 sentences, Chris.
You can do more.
I can do more, thank you. I guess what I wanted to sort of share a little bit with everyone is that I started with the gallery in 1994, which is quite a while ago. We were a single owner, very small. It was me and David and maybe 2 other people. We're all at the front desk. We're all working together, showing exhibitions with people like Stan Douglas, Jason Rhodes, Luke Toymans, very early on. And we put on these exhibitions. We had great faith in the artists. A lot of the work didn't sell right away, but that didn't matter because we had great belief in it. And I think the main thing that, yes, we're here to facilitate commercial gain so that the artist can get on with the real work that they want to do, which is getting back into the studio as much as possible. The galleries help facilitate selling, producing, archiving, keeping the history for the artists if they don't want to be bothered with maintaining their catalog. At the same time, we're also nurturing and moving forward, and you guys get to do the exhibitions, and have an experience with certain artists, but we have to sort of stay with them. The longevity and the lasting relationship is far more important and something very much what every artist needs from their gallery. So I guess in a way I'm saying it's more than that because of all the long term and how long, the length of how you work with the artist, sorry, I'm getting nervous, is so much more than just that monetary value.
So, is that the definition of a good gallery?
Yes.
What is a bad gallery?
I would say, I wouldn't...
It's a serious question.
Yeah, it is a serious question. I don't really want to say this. I think a good gallery enables the artist to get along and so they don't have to think about the commercial gain as much. A bad gallery would be where they don't allow the artists to get on with their work, if they don't support them as much. I mean, we have always run an artist-centric gallery, and we try to do as much as we can possibly for them that we can. And I think that the reason why artists do want to work with us is that we have created this sort of, I guess, reputation for really supporting everything they do, not just the commercial parts of their work.
Can I ask a good bad question?
Sure.
Here? Okay. Why is the Gallery Zwirner not here represented at ABC?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. Were we asked? It would be nice to do some things in Berlin. I think it's just a matter of having the right projects in the right place. We are asked to do a lot of art fairs around the world, and we're always very open to doing art fairs. I just think it depends on when it happens and if there's something for us. As all galleries know, and there's some gallerists here in the audience, there's so many art fairs and it's quite difficult to always get the artist to supply inventory for each fair. So you have to sort of be quite strategic, quite smart, and also really respectful of the artist's pace on when they're ready to be able to do work for their exhibitions, for museum shows, or for when they want to do something for a big fair.
We are talking today about the added value of working alongside galleries. Was there ever a moment in time when a museum, a public museum, said we don't have the money to create this exhibition, to make this exhibition happening. Can you help us? Was there ever a moment you said no?
No.
That's good to know, okay? For those of you who want to present exhibitions with David Zwirner, they never say no. Harald Falkenberg, you want to react to this because you have been publicizing and you have been writing, you have been talking a lot about this whole issue of the galleries, even in Text zur Kunst. And I'm saying even in Text zur Kunst because Text zur Kunst had a few months ago, or a year and a half ago, had a special issue called The Gallerist. Why is there suddenly, even from a critical point of view, so much interest in the wheeling and dealing of galleries?
Yeah, because there is a question of the dying of galleries today, or especially not of all galleries, but of special kinds of galleries. Yes, and to understand this better, I think one should begin with the beginning, very short. The gallery is a German name or a European name. In the United States, they understand gallery completely other. So we take it now in the European wording. And there the gallery is an institution or is an organization taking care of the primary market. That's the most important, simple word. They try to detect new works, new artists, and dig them out and help them for a longer time. And the original idea was to accompany them from the cradle into the also ins Grab, ich weiß nicht. That was the original idea.
To the cemetery.
Yes, and this was a real movement against the art dealers. Yes, because the art dealers taking care of the secondary market and not of the primary market. They don't want to do all these basic works. They want to take out the most interesting and most expensive work, teuerste Werke, and then in very discretion sell them to delicate persons. And so the first idea was also to make prices public. Therefore, in '67, the Cologne art market was born, yes, where all prices were open for everyone. That was in this way a popular market, and it followed Art Basel in 1907, and art dealers were not left into these Messen hinein, and that was the beginning. And then it changed more and more, and it was so that the gallery work, the primary work, became more and more important for the big dealers, especially from 1909 on for Christie's and Sotheby's. That was the beginning of the. Today it is 34 to 40% of Christie's and Sotheby's to auction, also primary markets. On the other hand, the prices went high, and so also many gallerists came into the market of art dealing. I would say, if you say Gagosian is only a art dealer, but also Hauser and Wirth and Zwirner, that are the three big ones. They make today more than 60% art dealing.
Really, Angela? The microphone, please.
Nobody, I have read that, nobody.
Let's check this. Fact checking. I mean, is it
I
correct?
It's only 50%.
60% of the art market is those three galleries alone?
No.
I said
Don't
art dealer.
You.
The way is David Zwirner keeps it secret.
We just want to know if it's 60%. That's all. You can say yes or no.
I haven't done my math.
Okay, good.
I spoke to them, and it is so. It doesn't make much difference whether it's 50% or 60%. You see, if David Zwirner, he's taking care of estates he has told to you, when I asked David, what are you doing today? Now I have bought the estate of Donald Judd and this, and my main work is, let me say, 5 days of the week. I visit them because they are the richest ones to buy the most expensive works.
Now I'm going to ask you a question. How many pieces of your collection did you buy on the secondary market? 60%?
I have bought about 2,000, and I think I bought 20 or so. The rest I bought at the primary market.
Okay, good,
I'm very true to the primary market.
Okay, and you, Sabine, and you.
Because I don't like this chasing about the money.
Okay, good to know. Sabine, you formerly were the director of the Generali Foundation, then you went over to MoMA, where the board of trustees was telling the curators what to buy.
So?
I mean, that's what I know. Did you buy many pieces on the secondary market in your past?
Well, if you split the past in what you described, that someone told me what I have to do and the one where I decided what to do. Actually, I bought a lot of works and excavated artists, if you want, and works before they entered galleries. In a way, I was lucky. I was taking a lot of risk. However, I didn't see it as a risk because I understood the importance of these works. And then even, like in the case of Martha Clark, I felt someone has to take care of this. Or a lot of artists were not at galleries, even they were really known galleries like Adrian Piper or between whatever, having hard times finding galleries or not the right gallery. At MoMA, it's actually the opposite. Actually, the trustees were pretty happy what I brought up. Some you can see because I acquired a lot of works which were not in the market or not even known. Like right now, MoMA is showing this piece I acquired by David Lamellas from '68 from the Venice Biennale, which we basically, actually it was a donation because I bought a group of 68 works by David Lamellas, and this one was a donation because we actually reconstructed it from the archive of the Venice Biennale. It was not existing. It was amazing. I think this is another myth that has to be deconstructed, at least from my experience. I had a very good experience with the MoMA trustees, or trustees in general. They're actually easier to work than politicians because they know a great deal about art. They love art, and that's a good starting point. Even some of them want to control and have their own interests, of course, but I learned, at least from my experience, they're extremely happy if you bring up works to them they haven't heard about and they don't see in galleries yet, but they understand immediately that this is an important work to have.
And then
so I was really able to acquire very challenging, complicated works.
And the effect of curators, directors like you, you're a typical rediscovery curator. You smell the trends
serving the market
before everybody else. And then some galleries, they follow you and the trustees of MoMA, and then they start to work with these objects.
That's
is that correct?
The unavoidable path. We're serving all the market. So the question is the market something bad? What are the features? How can you play and use it for your own means? As Angela pointed out, the gallery has kind of a complex agenda. It's not just making money, making sales. You can ruin an artist by just, pushing the commercial interest. They support institutional projects, museum artists. I think it's definitely changed a lot.
Also, a lot of artists don't make the money or the market.
Absolutely.
And there's all galleries have artists who are the stars, who are the bread and butter commercially and viable for every market, but there are also artists that fall out of favor, and you always support them.
Do you have artists who are not really selling?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
No.
Every gallery has that in their stable.
In the first 20 minutes, Harald, of this conversation, we have talking about the fact that galleries have many different roles, and they are not clearly defined. By the way, curators today don't have many clear roles either. Some are crypto dealers, some are critics, some are producers, some are working for private museums, they're working as consultants. It's in the visual arts world compared to, for instance, opera agents or the literature world or the film world, it's very fluid. And that's the reason why we see so many people taking up all these different roles at the same time. You don't know who you're talking to. Harald, do you think that the role of the gallery as an agent, as an archivist, as a research institute, do you think that today galleries have so much changed from the early days? For instance, we have a fantastic exhibition coming up at NBK, but also at the Berlinische Gallery about the early talent scout, René Bloch. We talk often about the example of Rudolf Zwirner. We're talking about, of course, Connie Fischer. Did it change today in difference from the Connies and the Rudolfs and the Renés?
Yeah, it has changed the way that many gallerists also work in the secondary market for very simple reasons, without saying 50 or 60%, because otherwise they would not participate in the high prices. The big galleries have since long made commitments with the auction houses. They are best friends today because they need all the third parties' warranties, and they cannot work on their own. If Christie's wants to sell a work of 60 million, Christie's must avoid a failure, so he goes to Gagosian or to Peter Brandt. Can you guarantee me this?
Who is Peter Brandt?
Peter Brandt is one of the big dealers.
Okay.
And the big also collectors.
Collectors.
So, he's a dealer and a collector. Okay,
owner
good,
of Art News, is it correct? Owner of Art News, New York Art News. Also different kinds of business. But Peter Brandt and Gagosian are the first to talk, and they say, wait a moment, they have the telephone on the left hand, and ask their customers. And they say, the wonderful opportunity, we want to work up the price of a good Pollock, yes, and 58, by Bora, 50 million, yes. And this is a wonderful future. We all work together. And so the last customer says yes, then Peter Brandt says yes, then Chrissy says yes, and Bora says yes. That is the way it works. Yeah?
You seem to be very angry at that stuff, or frustrated?
No, first of all, it's legal.
It's legal?
It's legal, yes. It's
legal.
some kind of a reinsurance. That's like AXA. If AXA says they versichern, the insurance. They insure the works. This is very wrong in a way, because the first thing they do, they take it to München Re, to Zurich Re, to other re companies, to reinsurance companies, and they only 3 or 4%. They are like agents without any risk. Yes, one must understand these big markets a little bit.
So again, my question: you seem very frustrated and angry about these developments.
Let me say so. For me as a collector, I have bought only 20 from them. That's my question. My answer is that I don't want to be in this play. Or I don't say only I don't want to. I cannot be in the play. You must have some money, big money to do it. And therefore, but also from my conviction, from my collection here, I try to find out something new with the galleries, talk to them and do this and that, and not make this quick snap of the day. It's terrible.
You sound so different from an essay which you published a year ago or a year and a half ago in the Financial Times,
yes,
where you said, listen, stop complaining about the galleries and about the prices and about the art market. I mean, it's great because capitalism is like, you know, freeing up information, and there are very good things about this all. And now you say, stop.
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Then correct.
No,
Fine.
I just described my own position.
Right.
I'm not. I don't envy someone who writes a Maserati. I don't care for that. Let them do it. It's just not my cup of tea. That's my answer to that. But it would be idiotic to ignore it, because this world really influences all the people here in the room. Right. It would be very nonsensical not to be really alert about it, because this has a reaction on your work.
Right.
Because it's quite clear you must do these big galleries. The big, or let me say, the big disadvantage of the system, objectively, is that the prices are all the same, the works are all the same, very slow, very short, no, klein, little Angebot, offer, and so the world, in the end of the day, they are tired of their work themselves.
Okay.
And they need the young, and they need you. That is the question. Therefore, you have a big chance.
Because what I understand, that this is going to influence, actually, at least if I understand you well, this is going to influence the quality of production of works of art in the far end.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
In the far end, the quality gets worse and worse.
Okay.
And they must have new impulses from down. And therefore also Hauser and Wirth, David Zwirner have organization. You look for these people, for these young people, and there's a big chance, a big field and a big chance for young galleries here.
Angela, can you help me to make Harald feel better?
I feel good.
Can I put it differently? Which kind of lesson, it's very early I know, but which kind of lesson did you learn from Harald's comments? I mean, what are you going to SMS to David and saying, David, we have to do it completely differently?
No, David is not so wrong.
I think what Harald is trying to say is, I want to take a step back, for instance, because let's talk about art itself. Art is made by artists.
No, galleries always do that. No.
We have to place. Let me finish.
Okay,
I'm just getting started.
Angela, I'm moderator.
We have to create.
You can do this if you react to Harald. Make him feel better.
I will. I'm going back to that situation. Harald is a passionate collector. The art that we all work with is the values. It's capitalism at its best. I agree with him. You know, there's no intrinsic value of why X painting by an artist is worth more than another painting that's just starting out. It's all what the market has created. It's the demand by the collectors, by the museums, and the values placed in the exhibitions, and all that we're all involved with helps create a value system in how we value a work of art. What I think Harald is trying to say is that with the phenomenon that he sees with Peter Brandt and people like that, is that they single out certain artists. They single out a Basquiat or Warhol and decide that's where we're going to build the market, and let's see how far we can create that and how many numbers we can do, and we push and push and push that up. And I think what you're saying is, I can't participate in that, nor do I want to, nor should you, because it is gone beyond most people's reach. And what we have to look at is go back to look at what else there is. There's a lot of other artists, and I know that you're very singular and have a very good vision, and you like to collect in depth, which is probably why it gets frustrating, because those are the pieces that people are going after, you know, and they look at collectors like yourself to see where the trends are. So it's all a system feeding itself, but there's so much more. There's so much being produced. There's more art students, more galleries, more artists that need all of our support in order to create this bigger art world.
Right.
So
Sabine,
I hope that makes you feel slightly
makes
better.
Absolute sense, Angela. But Sabine, do you think, back to what Harald said in our little dialogue, do you think that this, overpricing, this economical effect, is at the end going to bear an effect on the quality or the character or the nature of art production? I mean, is visual art becoming less interesting?
Well, it's up to us to make it interesting. I think if I represent the institutional side, it's on us to reevaluate and not let us be driven just about the art market. That's basically my job, and some take it more in that direction and others. It's very easy to, schedule shows where you get co-funding with galleries, and they could be great shows, could be good program. I'm a little bit more curious. I'm more curious what's else up, what's not have been seen and shown, and I think that's part of our job. And if it's end up at a good gallery who also benefits from my work, okay. I mean, works have to be out, have to be published. But certainly there's a role of the public institution, the private collector. You can do what you want. I have a board that tries to control me, so to say. So I have to report to them. But there is a public mission and agenda, which is certainly different than the art market. And I do think more and more institutions have to think about being under pressure from the budget, how we perform this role. I certainly see there's an importance there. And yeah, probably it ends up at the same pot being sold somewhere and hopefully ending up at a good museum, which takes care.
I have worked now also for 20 years in institutions, more or less as a leader or boss there. And this is a very important point because this is the same we had with the Kunstverein in Germany. And 7 years, 6 years, or 7, 8 years away, they said, oh, they will die. For a simple reason why the big Kunsthallen also made young art and naturally had more money than the poor Kunstvereine. And they say there's no room anymore for the Kunstvereine. A big error because the problem of the greater institutions to represent young artists was a big question because nobody came. Yes, they wanted to have names. So, and you know that. Yes, if you make a no-name show, you could do it sometimes, but not too often. Yes, and there's
except when it's a rediscovery, an older woman artist,
okay.
Then they all come.
Oh yes, they.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we think of David Zwirner. Yeah. So, one of the best detections of old ladies. Yeah, but anyhow, this is a very important point, which swings back into the market. So the big names have to be prepared somewhere. Right? And naturally, they are prepared also in the big auctions. If you hear that artist, and we speak, how many have very good prices? I would say 25, 50, but not more, yes? With a very high price, where everyone would say, oh, we want to have it also in an exhibition in an institution. And so this name dropping, the importance of the name for a show is an integral role in all our discussion.
Now we have also another phenomenon, and then we stop talking about this bigness. We have also another phenomenon, which is that at least my curators, they know often, not at all, who these artists are now represented in big galleries and what collectors collect. For instance, it took for our curators a year to discover who the hell Alex Israel was, while all these collectors were collecting him and galleries were representing him. So interesting, I find it fascinating that we have artists for collectors and galleries, and we have artists for documentas, for biennials, and Tate Modern and the National Gallery. Is that a new trend? Like we don't need public museums? We are happy?
Is there a hierarchy? Are you talking?
No. I'm just asking, is that a new trend?
I don't know. I think there's always been artists who are well collected and their work
didn't
is
have
easily
any
accessible
museum
and
show.
didn't have any museum shows and
Right.
vice versa. You have that quite often. I think it depends on the stable and depends on the moment.
But it's frustrating for you guys,
It's-
no? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
And Tate Modern doesn't want to show our artists. My goodness. No?
we can understand some things.
Sabine, how do you see that development? Are there artists you see in big galleries and the expensive collectors where you never heard about and you never want to show them?
Sure. Seems as a tailored system, one could say.
Are you avoiding showing them
famous
because they're
to do no
expensive?
Beg your pardon?
Are you avoid showing them because they are expensive for that reason?
You know, for us, the SSS, which has nothing to do with the double S, the safety, security, and shipping problems are immense because we can not put up certain shows anymore because the insurance prices are too expensive, because the market prices are too expensive, and especially what I find fascinating, that where I write so many letters, also to David Zwirner, where I write, "Dear private collector," I'm not entitled to know who they are. Now I started to write, "Dear very, very private collector." And sometimes the dear very, very, very private collector says, "No, I don't want Steve Cohen, Frank Stella, Arbeit macht frei. I don't want my black painting of Frank Stella in the Haus der Kunst in Munich because it's too political and it might lose value on the secondary market." E basta. Funny, huh?
You know, many of the most important private collectors are no private collectors. Yes, that is also an important point for our discussion. If you take the two big French ones, and one has a long Christie's and the other Louis Vuitton, and they built in the famous parts of the Bois de Boulogne a Louis Vuitton, not a museum, a Louis Vuitton museum, and that means that these, also Wetzel, they all bought their arts with a company. That means I'm a very private collector. I pay around 70% more for an artwork than they do. And they have the full power of the organization behind them to propose these big shows and to build these big museums. Also, I don't blame them. Therefore, it is just a matter of fact we have to face where art is positioned. That's one of the reasons that diese berühmte Blase, that the art,
the bubble
is not so easy.
Will not explode
too early, yes, because that would be a big change in business for Vuitton and for others, yes?
Stop extra large. Stop bigness. Finito. Let's return to the basis. When you read interviews about ABC Art Week, then the Ökonomische Senat in Berlin is talking about 400 galleries in Berlin. Actually, there are only 230, I believe. But anyway, most of these galleries in Berlin, the 230, they struggle, I mean, economically. How do we perceive this ecosystem of these very young galleries? What can we do as institutions, as bigger galleries, because you need them? It's like turf. You need them. What can we do in order to invent maybe an economical system whereby these young galleries, and there are many, 230, 200, whatever, here in Berlin, how can we create a different ecosystem? Is there a way to go about this? Because we do need them. I think what's very interesting is that the middle galleries have the biggest problems, at least in London, and what we see everywhere, again in London, is very young galleries popping up, and they have their moment of glory. They can survive because they have less expenses, and they do sell because there is an interest in young stuff. The middle galleries are gone, forget it, and then you have the big galleries. But what can we do to improve these ecosystems, Sabine?
I have no idea. I've just look at what they're showing, taking advantage of what they are.
Are you going to see here this week a lot of these young, no-name galleries?
I would say, I don't know if these might work, actually. A mission impossible, I would say. Takes a lot of time to run around in Berlin or wherever. to be able to do this. I mean, I wish I would have a little cart and someone pulls me through whatever. I try to catch up, but I'm not very good in it, I must say, because I have all my things to do. Yeah, but you are in relationship, you know what's up, even if you don't see it, of course. I mean, yeah.
Was there a moment in time, the past 12 months, let's say, where you went in whatever city to a young, very small, unknown gallery and you discovered something really interesting?
If there was a moment, I did. Well, I remember spending my Sundays in the Lower East Side, actually. So, yeah.
Did you find something interesting,
Sure.
something you didn't know yet?
Sure. I mean, they do. They are scouts, that's for sure. You have to take advantage of this, I think, of course, yeah.
Is your staff, your team, Anja, and yourself, are you also going to very young galleries and looking for stuff you don't know what it's all about yet?
When we get the chance to, we'd like to.
But is there somebody on the team who does that?
A few of us do it. With all the things and all the responsibilities of a big gallery, we're torn into different directions. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean we can't do that. I mean, we started working with Oscar Murillo, and we still work with, with Carlos Ishikawa, the small gallery that represents him in London, and we cohabitate that way. So there are ways to collaborate with a larger and smaller one.
How did you see Oscar Murillo? Somebody went to see the small gallery?
That's my colleague Rodolphe, who works with me in London, and he knew him. He saw his. I think his thesis show when he was graduating from the Royal College, liked the work. He took me to his exhibition at
the small gallery
at Carlos Ishikawa, and I really saw something in there that I really liked very much. I didn't know much about the other parts of Oscar that now is quite infamous, but I looked at it for what it was. Then we encouraged David to go look. We did a studio visit. And we wanted to remain true and sort of nurture that talent along with the smaller gallery. There are other ways of, like you were talking about the ecosystem. That is a way that larger galleries can work with smaller galleries.
So you didn't tell Oscar to leave the small gallery?
No.
You wanted Oscar to stay with the small gallery?
He wants to stay loyal to the small gallery.
And you share?
We work together on how much inventory each gallery gets and things like that.
What do you think, Harald? Not bad, huh?
But it's clear also the biggest galleries send out scouts. Scouting is not new for that. Even in the
Do you still scout?
I'm the only one in
I'm the only one in Germany who still scouts.
No, I'm more or less alone. I have no second person with me to be a scout. Look, that depends now where you are with your collection. Yes, if you build up a collection, you are more a scout. If you have a collection where you see some deficiencies, you speak with your galleries like Spreet or whoever and say, what do you think? Also with David a lot. What do you think? Where could I do something better? I look for this assistance, and there I try to improve on these parts. This is a little bit with me because I'm 71 years old and I've given this to the Deichstall, so I'm not a really scout running all around.
No, but you look and you are more fit than most of the young collectors I know.
Okay, I don't judge that. But speaking to them, it would be essential to avoid to do all that what the middle and greater galleries do, first of all. No dinners, yeah. I would also say no art fairs. Yes, why? That only takes your money away. You should organize in groups. You should, with others together, find out new fields. If a group of you with 10 artists, young artists, came to Hamburg to look me up and speak to me, we have an idea, new technology, art from Berlin, yeah, then I think I would make the show. I've 2 times made the show, but if somebody alone comes up, it's difficult for our for the management to understand that.
Are you scouting in Hamburg young, unknown galleries or
No, in Hamburg it's not so. I'm the boss of the Kunstverein, Mrs. Sabine Breitwieser, and excuse me, with this Austrian colleague before in the Belvedere, Mrs. Steinbrücke. We have also made this. Mrs. Steinbrücke came to us and worked systematically up photography, film, and others. So this is a point in our program in the Kunstverein.
Let's travel a little bit. When was the last time you went to a completely unknown, small, young gallery in Berlin?
I'm in Berlin every 4-6 weeks, and then many write to me, and I would say in 50% I make a short visit to see how it comes out with the writing and the reality. So that depends on the time. But Hamburg is not so far away.
But isn't then
we
art
should have
fairs?
Harald work with us, actually.
Aren't then art fairs for busy people like you, like ABC, much easier because it's all in one place and you can go from stand to stand, booth to booth, and you get informed? Because you said earlier, no art fairs. But art fairs seem to be very practical.
Art fairs are very practical, you are quite right. If you compare vernissage to art fairs, then art fairs have some big advantage. Nicht? If you go to a vernissage, you get a glass of wine and you are told 1.5 hours that this artist is the best of the world, and then you throw away the wine and go out because it's not right, yes? There I really prefer art messen, and I always go to the Art Basel and Art Cologne for tradition. Now we have affordable arts. That's a little bit the way they started in '67, yes? And now I should, in Hamburg I was asked to assist these affordable arts. I didn't do it until now.
You talk about affordable art. I mean, will you also go to the art fair positions on the Spray?
On the Spray? What is that?
Yes, there is an art fair, positions.
Spraying?
The Spray the river, you know? Will you go to the art fair positions?
You mean what Elias does or what?
No. It's called an art fair positions.
No, I didn't know that. Excuse me.
It
didn't came up to the Elbe.
We public institutions and small institutions we have to get better our marketing done, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your marketing should be better.
Right. Sabine.
Excuse me. That I didn't know.
Okay. Sabine, you're forgiven always. Sabine, we all are threatened more and more budget cuts. When I started to work at Tate, we got about 35 million pounds through the government, and probably in November we will end up with 28 million, which is barely 25% of our budget cuts. We and other houses, the Centre Pompidou, and I think also museums in Germany, although the museums in Germany are less open about this. We cannot work anymore without galleries. Will there come a time that we do everything together, that we co-produce with galleries, big and small, our catalogues, our research, our exhibitions, our dinners, our invitations? This is not a provoking question. Just think about it loud.
I would put a different question if, now I got this one from Harald. Now it doesn't work either. Maybe I have a bad technological mic. I kill all the mics. I think so. No battery. Okay, there's something left here. Okay, I remember doing some research how museums directors worked in former times. And it was quite a common thing, and I know from my museum, that they were actually dealing with artworks to make up their salary or to benefit the institution. So I don't think there's a time of art institution before without the art market and now with the art market. I think we have to look a little bit more carefully how things have been operated before. But certainly if an institution, I mean, you can see it from the other side, puts up a show with the body of work, whatever, supposed to invest in restoration, shipping, creating, documenting, making a major publication, and then of course it ends up in the art market and the galleries, the art dealers starting to represent this and having the economic benefit. Of course, as a public institution, you have to think about models, how to share this. I mean, there are several ways. We know that once an artwork is sold out of the exhibition, the museum should get a percentage, this and that. All those things can work or not work, because who is reporting, who is documenting. But I don't think there is a time with and without the art market. Of course, what we're envisioning now is that galleries are really substantial capitalist entrepreneurs in many ways. I think that's the major difference, what a gallery is now, or a corporate gallery. This was something which was not existing before, and not so long ago actually, and that makes a big difference. That they are global. This is another challenging topic, I think, for all the galleries. I would like to hear about that, actually, how you deal with that. And active in all kinds of business, buying estates, art dealing, financial investment, I think was for David quite an important aspect to create capital, even to be able to do what you want to do. So an art gallery is a financial organization basically now, as I would see. And
also, you know, working very close together with developers, not only in London, but also in Berlin, these boring city palaces, Stadtpalast, townhouses. I mean, they even have an effect on urbanism and architecture. I mean, things are not pretty, right? I mean, because I mean, you would expect that a lot of these galleries have good taste, but in terms of architecture,
I think where I see an issue is looking at these biennales documenters, which are sort of the formerly the official scouts for emerging art or re-envisioning artworks. That those projects only work with not only co-funding, 100% funding partly of the galleries. And I think that's a problem in terms, because it does affect the selection of artists. Secondly, it's also a challenging thing for the galleries because it pushes them more into money making, because now they have to fund, I don't know how many biennales we have, all these new productions and have to stay behind the scenes. I mean, I think there we have a much stronger effect than in the arts institution itself, because they have an infrastructure, they do have a biotope around them, but these pop-up biennales every 2 years or every 5 years with Documenta, they have to start from scratch, and the expectations get higher and higher, the works get bigger and bigger, the installations are more professional, works more expensive, and budgets are disappearing. I think there we really can clearly see it. If those who visited the Istanbul Biennale, I found it really amazing. In this hotel on the island where William Kentridge showed his great new piece, there was a label on the left side, private dinner Marion Goodman, on the right side, private reception Sandrette Rere Bodengo. It was like walking on an airport between the Gold Card members lounge and checking if you have access to it.
That's another fascinating development. That is the catering service. We calculated with our curators the invitations we got in the past 4 weeks, and our curators are also invited to dinners, not me alone. We have many staffers, but we calculated the worth, the net value of these dinners, and we calculated about 7,300,000 pounds is going to be spent in the next few weeks on dinners by galleries. I mean, I can't believe it. It's surrealistic, and they are not. And it's not even about food art. Anyway.
Then we would get less money.
Harald, before we give the mic to the floor, ein Schlusswort.
Yeah, I would say that all these small galleries, not only here in Berlin, in general, have great chances. That is my. But they should try to restructure their work a little bit. I would say the most important thing is that they form groups, and the second importance is that they must build up a certain network of people. Without a network, you can't get it. That means, networking means that you do something interesting and people come, and then you meet the people personally as they do it in bigger sizes, so that you, without a network, it doesn't work. And a small network becomes bigger and bigger, and that is you build it up. That would be my two advices.
But I think a third advice, if you agree, would be stop complaining.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's such a Berlin disease.
Yeah, you cannot do something positive if you complain.
Lamento, yeah. So stop complaining is also very important.
Very
right?
important.
Right,
and then with the group, there were many important groups. Not only the Junge Wilde, or so Hamburg, for instance, with Büttner, also Isotrop. Many people of Isotrop, with Mese and two. They were now rather successful. So without this organizers in between, it will not go. And don't spend too much money on that. Yes, you need the money for organizing your groups and to take the people together, and don't spoil it to a big art fairs and this. Forget them. Or do you find the art fair? I think the best art fair in Germany is Art Karlsruhe. That's my point. Yes, you will see there are also the art fairs are like a football. Champion leagues, this and this and this, and also the third league makes much sense. But for the very young art, I would not spend too much money on that. That would be, in short, my.
Voila. I think these are very wise words. Thank you, Harald. Do we have a microphone for the room? Do we have one? Where's the microphone? We have 3 microphones. It's 11:10. We still have time to take a few questions. Who want to ask a question? We have a microphone. Wait for the microphone to come. We have a question over there in the 5th row. Who are you?
Britta Helbig, I'm an artist, God's Dogs. You said that artists sometimes have difficulties finding good galleries, and I liked very much how you said, when have you been the last time in a small gallery? Because that's, I think, for us artists, it's hard to find a gallery because the gallery have a hard time finding customers. And then it's going on and on. So, of course, what galleries do is acquire, with dinners and stuff and art fairs, and looking always for, the well-known artists so they can get up in the ranking higher.
What's your question?
My question is, if you say, like, don't spend money on the dinners, don't spend money on the things, what shall the small galleries do to get to know the attentions of you people, or what shall the young artists do? What is the way? You say it's not good, but how does it work to get into the market? If it's
there are many possibilities. If you think about Gagosian, I think the first man to bring up Gagosian was Deutsch. Yes, he came from New York City and then later Gagosian learned at Deutsch. What did Deutsch? Very interesting. He didn't care so much for artists. That would be another advice for me, because if your artists become good, then they go away from you. Take care a little bit of the artist, because the artists are not true. I don't blame the artist for that, because it's just a matter of fact what I'm saying. So if you do, for instance, you know what Deutsch was? He made projects, Deutsch projects. Why don't you make projects here? Projects with a theme, and then people come, and then customer comes in the end.
But we do have in Berlin a lot of Projektraume, and these Projektraume even get money from the Kultursenat, so we do have them. Okay, so I don't think that projects is the only thing which is going to help.
That's not the right projects.
Sabine.
Or projects.
I would say know your clients, know the interest of the people you want to address. Don't send material to anybody. I mean, I get so much stuff, I can't even look at it. I could, fill an entire building, what I got in the past years. So get to know the curators, the museum directors, what they're up for, what they're into, and then find out whom to address with what kind of stuff. I think that's the main thing, because nothing is more boring to receive information on artists, you wonder, why do they send this to me? Don't they know me?
And be patient and think about sustainability. I mean, when you speak to the old boys club or the old girls, Marion Goodman, Barbara Gladstone, René Bloch, Connie Fischer is not anymore around, but Rudolf Zwirner. I mean, these people took, and they know they needed time. But we want everything to happen within 2 and 3 years, and then we talk about Galeriesterben. We die too young, you know? It's much more fun to die when you're old, so be patient. Next question. Is there a question? We have one question on the 3rd row, and then there is a question on the 5th row, here to the right, to your right.
That's me.
By the means, because we just spoke of projects, I don't mean one project sponsored by Berlin. I mean project over 2, 3, 4 years, as organized by your own. That is the difference from projects and projects. Yes.
Thank you, Harald. Question?
Yes. So,
can you stand up so we can see you?
of course, I can do that. Okay, so I'm an artist as well. I work without a gallery for a year now, and it's going really well for me. So, but I don't agree with the second market that it's here it's addressed as something bad. I'm very happy when I know that some of my collectors, when they bought pieces from Chagall or from a Modigliani on the second market, because they can't buy it on the first market, right? They can't go to a studio now. So I don't see it as a problem if people buy from the second market per se, and it has been addressed in that way. And for an artist, it's also about trust. And when my collector has something bought from the second market that is a very specific and valuable piece, it nobles your own pieces. So
what's your question?
the question is if, because I'm working without a gallery and it's going really well for me, and I didn't need it yet, and I have a lot of liberties. Is it a problem? I mean, I'm a young artist. I think I can go on like this for another 2 or 3 years at least. So when is the point in time that you think you should work with a gallery? I'm curious.
Angela.
I'm not sure I quite understand the total question. You're concerned about your own secondary market, or?
I'm not concerned. I just wonder because I'm working really well without a gallery.
Oh, I
so,
see. Okay.
So that's, are you necessary in the long run? Of course you are, but where?
So your question is, you as an artist, we as artists, do we need galleries überhaupt?
Maybe we don't need you.
Okay, that's a good question, I think.
That's a good
Angela.
question. I think that each artist is into their own. I mean, if you are able to put on exhibitions, sell your own work and propagate it, that's all the power to you. You could even think about creating your own gallery, with other artists too at some point. But in the end, as you get bigger and as you do more shows, you're going to need extra support, whether you do it in your own studio practice and hire managers to take care of that. You do need a semblance of a gallery somehow to propagate the work and promote your work, to keep track of your work on all those levels. It's a good question because there could be other models, I mean, I shouldn't say that as a gallerist, but each of you as artists have to sort of figure out your own thing. The system is bigger. When I started 20 years ago, the galleries were much smaller. They're not the big. We've been talking a lot more about the big behemoths of the gallery, that I'm part of. We didn't start that way. We started off very small, doing what we did. And I think part of it as an artist is that to find people you trust to work with, you'll eventually find somebody that you could do, and if you have a lot of rapport. And a part of the reason why I think galleries are what they are is a generational thing. We came up and supported the artists of our generation, and we have that long-standing dialogue and relationship with them that is far more enriching than if you are sort of alone in that art world. As you can see, it's quite large and a lot changing all the time. So if you can sustain it, that's great, but in the end you will need some help or some backing, especially if there's a secondary market, which is another, difficult terrain to maneuver sometimes as an artist.
Thank you, Angela. That's very, very clear. Good advice. Harald, I think you have an advice as well.
Just very short hint to that. This was often tried, what you said. You can do it. In the 60s, many of the Fluxus people and others try to get rid of all galleries and founded their own galleries, which worked around 8 to 10 months most of the time. We have here in Germany the Produzentengalerie, a very good gallery, which was worked out of artists who wanted to do by themselves. So if you want to try it, try it. It's absolutely okay.
Can you stand up?
Yes, I have a question. How can the unavoidable paths of exploitation be avoided? I'm speaking reference to what Frau Breitwieser said, that according to your speech about how to support the poor galleries, you think you need them as bigger galleries as a turf, and you also say that you see them as scouts and you're taking advantage of their offering. But what you often forget is that the small galleries don't need the big galleries, but the big galleries profit from the small ones, but the small ones don't profit from the big ones.
So you call it exploitation?
Not just in this particular sense, but exploitation / inspiration in the creative cultural world.
And so what is your question then?
My question is, how can it be avoided? It's kind of a capitalism critics, I think.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess, that's actually a question an art dealer should answer. The question is how a gallery which builds artists from the beginning can grow with the artists. And that's here we go back to capital, actually, because it becomes a point of capital how you can go on and support your artists when they're growing in the art world business or whatever, and that's a real issue. I know some art dealers have quite a straightforward thing, and they say, yes, of course, David is one of them. I was kind of stunned how he felt. For instance, when Franz West moved on to Gagosian and said, yeah, we did some great things, now he's with Larry, that's fine, at least as I. So if an artist is growing, his business support has to grow, unless you want to keep going with emerging artists, so you have to keep going, finding and presenting more emerging artists. I think that's the business model, I guess. I don't have any answer to that, how it can be changed otherwise. But of course, it should be acknowledged. A gallery, if you're showing young artists early on and they make a career, people will notice. You will get acknowledged for this, I guess.
Sabine and Angela and Harald, I think there is another aspect which is quite interesting, is that today the market absorbs everything.
Yeah.
Even critical stances and positions. Sabine knows that much better than Boom. Sabine has collecting artists who reflected on self-exploitation, who reflected on activism, who didn't have a market at all. And at the end, think about Harald Faruqi. It's a good example. At the end, all that which is produced under the banner of art will find and is absorbed even the most critical positions by the market, which is one of...
I just remember Prada Meinhof, yes? It was a good name.
But which is a quite interesting phenomenon. Everything eventually will be absorbed by the small or the big art market, by the art market. Herr Polke.
Hallo allerseits, ja. Georg Polke from Estate. Now we have a big Gespenst. What is Gespenst? A ghost in Germany, which is coming on next. We have the new tax law. And my question is to Harald and to the audience, how the galleries and how the museums are working with it, because it makes a big difference to that what we have now. As an artist, I studied it also in Hamburg, so that's the reason for me to know Harald, and we work with David. We have this fucking problem now. So the ghost is running, what we are doing.
But it's not just in Germany.
It's not just in Germany, it's a European law.
It's a European law, so it's not a case of Deutsche Angst. Huh?
Yeah,
okay,
no,
good.
but
okay.
I will say it like Karl Marx, you know.
Harald. Ghost.
About the ghost, it's called the Kulturgutschutzgesetz. And you will, if you read newspapers, you will have read a lot along the last 3 days, because then the latest position of this law came. It is a little bit different from European. There are European laws which are already laws here in Germany, and that are laws for the export to countries out of the EU. So let them say to Madrid, to Basel, and to New York, to make it more simple. There are already laws for all countries in Europe since 2009. But also this law says if you go over certain markings, if the work is older than 50 years or older than 150 euro for one painting, then it has to be checked. And whether it's cultural heritage, that is the name, was deutsches Kulturerbe ist, die deutsche Identität. Yeah? And this is not common in Europe. This is from country to country.
Okay, but react to we know that, but react to the 19% question of Polka. No. This is now there is also our normal law. Doesn't give any age, and they could confess everything without age and value. This is very little complicated. But the end of the day is that the new law says, different from the past, that in this checking process, every work has to be valued. And since now, this was very simple. And this was very simple because the people in the offices had only to look in the so-called lists, because in Germany, all protected works are listed. And so it was a matter of 15 minutes to say it's on the list or it's not on the list. And that has this is now willing to be changed, that we have tremendous work, and the checking with expert will take up to 2 years for each work, and then the whole trading is away. That is the question. They don't accept anymore whether it's on the list or not, but want to check it individual. That is the main question of this law, and that's all. Angela, 19% added value tax. What's going on in London in terms of added value tax? Microphone.
Sorry. Right now, if you keep a work of art in the EU, that originates in the EU, there's 5% in the UK. It's not as high. It does. I mean, there's always this tax. So people are going to find creative ways, probably, to do something. It does also inhibit art buying for certain collectors, because that's quite a bit of tax for some people. So then they create, the places in Switzerland or wherever that they can do that.
And
I'm not sure if I'm answering the question correctly.
And artworks are getting more expensive.
Yeah, artworks are getting more expensive.
Somebody has to pay for the 19%.
They have to pay for the 19%.
They have to pay. The clients have to pay for the 19%.
For 5%, and in the rest of Europe, 7%. And the point is, the common market wanted to have Mehrwertsteuer for all countries in common, between 19 and 22%, and they first went to Germany. You go ahead now. If you don't go ahead, it costs you 1 million a day. So we went ahead, and the rest does not follow. That is our problem.
Sabine.
We live since many years with 20% for art and 10% for photography, because in Austria this is not considered as art.
Ridiculous.
and multiples and editions, it's also different?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question is rather more what will be done with the tax, whether it ends up in museums for acquisition budget, for instance. I mean, I'm not against taxes unless, I mean, it helps us to be autonomous from bad art galleries, for instance, or pushy private collectors, maybe all kinds of things. So, I mean, the question is where the money ends. Unlike to Germany, where you benefit from the lotteries, this ends in Austria up entirely in sports. They support sports, not museums. So I'm more curious where the 90% tax will end up. Who will benefit from that?
I wish in Great Britain people would pay more tax, because nobody pay tax in Great Britain. That's the reason why so many Belgians and French and Germans are living in London. And that's why they buy art in London, Angela. You know that. That's the reason why there are so many galleries in London, because it's all about tax. It's not about creativity and inspiration. Forget it. Last question. Last question, because it's 11:28 and we stop the broadcast 11:30. Okay.
Okay. Me?
Who is the last question? Oh, you were the first. Okay, last question. We have a question there. Yes, microphone, please.
Stand up. Okay, I think I had the last question.
Is it on?
Did I have?
I'm happy that this is the last question. And it's more eine Bitte. I'm an artist. My name is Antonetta Marinov, and I'm selling magic wands today. And I would like to ask if we can have a picture later on together, because I think they will be more powerful if we have the picture together, so they will have an added value. And
I think that's a very good idea. Yeah. I'm talking about added value because I was so late. I forgot to wear this beautiful necklace, the gold cube of the gallery Johann König, which Alicia Quade developed a fantastic project with the Düsseldorf jewel designer Hornemann, and I was supposed to wear the Belgium cube, which is a tiny cube, even tinier than the Lebanon cube, which is quite interesting. This is a project by Alicia Quade, which was made possible by a gallery, which I don't think we can do anymore, these kind of projects and productions. So I forgot to wear it. I just want to point out that Alicia Quade made this fantastic project about gold reserves. And with that, I would like to close our session and thank you for being here. Thank you for being so attentive and not walking away. Thank you very much, Sabine Breitwieser. Thank you very much, Angela Choon. And thank you very much, Harald Falkenberg.